thought an awesome competitive day. I thought the offense moved the ball really well. Got to finish field goals at the end, but awesome in the 2-minute drive. Got the touchdown, and then the field goal to tie it back up, and then got it down to that 2-point play to win it. But overall, in all 3 phases, I thought guys were locked in. Got a lot of reps in. I know I said 90. I think we ended up with over 100, but thank God for the weather. Allowed us to do that.
How is it possible to simulate game speed in a situation like this? But you feel like the flow of this practice and scrimmage kind of gave you guys a good aperture of how the things would go?
Yeah, it's not perfect. It's just, but to go through being locked in for special teams, just having all the different transitions. What's not realistic is going 1s to 2s to 3s. Typically you're going to be, and we're trying to mix it up too, where the 1s, 2s, 1s, 3s, and just trying to keep them off balance so that way the break in between wasn't as long. But we did the best we could with what under the circumstances. But it's as close as we can get in preparation for next Thursday.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening to you, wherever you are listening from. It is Saturday, August 8th. My name is Russell Reese, and you are listening to Nashville Sports Report. All right, well, we started today's show with a clip from Robert Saleh's press conference after last night's Blue and White Scrimmage at Nissan Stadium. Titans training camp is in full swing. The pads came on this week, and so far it sounds like the offense is really looking good. It's kind of a surprise when you have a new offensive system and the team is trying to learn it and react to defenses, but that's a great sign. Elic Ayomanor has been a standout in the wide receivers. He was, I think, originally thought to be maybe the 4th or 5th wide receiver, but is currently challenging Calvin Ridley for the 3rd wide receiver spot. That's a great thing to see happening. The Titans wide receiver depth is the best it's ever been, but to have them pushing each other like that means it's only going to be better. Yesterday, the Titans also announced that they have signed guard Peter Skoronski to a record-setting extension, 4-year, $100 million with $88 million guaranteed. That makes him the highest-paid guard in the league presently. These things change pretty quickly. But here is a clip from Saleh's press conference last night talking about that extension.
I think when you have an elite talent like that, it's like I said, you pay people who change games, and I know it's hard to quantify how an O-lineman changes games, but when you can count on a guy to win in his one-on-ones and keep the pocket clean for the quarterback, those guys are priceless. And so anytime, and it really goes throughout the entire team, if you change the game in a way where the opponent needs to adjust to you, then you probably should get paid a little bit more.
On Monday, the Titans head to San Francisco to have joint practices with the 49ers in advance of their preseason game, which takes place Thursday night at 8 p.m. While the game will be televised and free to watch here in Nashville, I believe at least that it's more important to pay attention to the news coming out of the practices themselves. That's where the teams will really be challenging each other. That's where I think the meat will really be happening, where the rubber will be meeting the road, so to speak. And this will be the first step for the new Robert Saleh Titans as they face actual competition outside of the organization. So it should tell us a lot about the current state of the team and where they're headed. Here again is Saleh from last night's press conference talking about the trip to San Francisco.
We'll talk to you again for San Francisco. Just what do you kind of physicality-wise, experience-wise, want from the guys in the joint practice? Just what is the emphasis of that versus?
It's one, don't make anything up. We're going out to compete against a championship team, and it doesn't mean if you feel like, well, now it's time to go get it, then you've been doing it wrong this entire time. You should have already been gone to get it, if that makes sense. Expecting our guys to go out and execute the way we have been, compete the way we have been, and it'll be awesome to work with those guys.
You had any conversation with Kyle or John about Any concerns on their end with their injuries?
No, we've talked. We've been talking. They're a week ahead of us because they play earlier, so they reported earlier. So it's been tricky to kind of find a compromise with regards to reps. But they're actually getting a lot of guys back. They're getting much healthier, and they're more than confident that they'll be ready to go come Monday, I believe.
In other Titans news this week, Netflix released the trailer for The Testimony of Vince Young, a documentary about Vince Young's time in college and the pros, what went right, and more importantly, what went wrong. It appears to have a large focus on how the death of Steve McNair affected Vince in his career, which, if you've listened to the pod before, that's something that I've mentioned as thinking it was crucial to his development or lack thereof. A link to the trailer in the comments below, but also that will be released on Netflix on August 25th. Finally, in Titans news, yesterday, the Titans announced a brand new look for their mascot, T-Rac. It is quite the departure from the old look. Some might say more realistic, if that is even possible when talking about mascots. Some might say it leans more towards a furry convention kind of look. I am still out on it, and to be honest, I don't think my opinion as an adult really matters that much. Mascots are generally, I think, for children, so we'll have to see how kids react to the new T-Rac. But definitely opinions are mixed out in the world. Moving on now to Nashville SC, who lost on Wednesday evening to Club Leon in their first match of the League's Cup. It was a heavily rotated team. According to Ben Wright of 615 Soccer, it was actually the youngest average age of a Nashville SC starting team in either the USL or MLS eras of the team. A little over 24 years of age on average. While the loss is kind of disappointing and more than likely puts Nashville SC out of the running for advancement in League Cup, it makes sense just from where the team is right now. A bunch of injuries to the starters. This is also something BJ Callahan has said he was going to do, which is to play the young guys. They've got some real meaningful experience this way, and I personally think it's the right call. There will still be 2 more League Cups games coming up tonight at 7 p.m. against Atletico San Luis, and then again Wednesday versus Monterrey at 7 p.m. Both of those matches are at Geodis Park. However, strangely, Nashville is listed as the away team on Wednesday against Monterrey. Expect to see more heavily rotated side, few starters, a bunch of the backup guys getting good experience against some pretty impressive international competition. And then next Saturday, Nashville SC returned to MLS action with a huge matchup against Inter Miami. It'll be a clash of the top 2 teams in the East, Miami nipping at Nashville heels in the standings. It was also just announced yesterday that Lionel Messi's father has passed away. My condolences to him. While I'm not a big Messi or Miami fan, having lost my own father, I understand the pain that causes. It'll be interesting to see if Messi's on the pitch next Saturday when the 2 teams clash. Moving down to the Nashville Sounds. Sounds are 61-51 and currently in 3rd place in their division. They are now 6 games behind new division leader St. Paul. At the moment, they're in Memphis in the middle of a 6-game series. They've split 2-2 so far against the Redbirds, with 2 more games coming up today and tomorrow. Then on Tuesday, they will be back in Nashville to start a 6-game series against the Indianapolis Indians. My guest this week is Ricky Thrash. Ricky is the Associate Athletic Director for Strategic Initiatives at Vanderbilt University, where he's worked for the better part of 2 decades. Yesterday, I had a chance to chat with Ricky about the work he does at Vandy, the current state of Vanderbilt athletics, and the start of the new athletic season with the upcoming school year. There's a lot to be excited about at Vanderbilt these days, and Ricky has been a part of it for some time now. I hope you'll enjoy my conversation with Ricky Thrash. All right, Ricky, thank you so much for making the time to come on and speak with me today. I really appreciate having you on. Happy Friday.
Man, thanks, man. Happy to be here. Happy Friday to you.
All right, well, I'm going to dive right in. I ask everybody sort of the same set of questions and then get into sort of more specific stuff. But what is your favorite sport to play?
I saw when you put that on the list, it's present tense, which is a little tough because I don't know that I play a ton of sports now at all. But,
Right. Well, this is Outback Steakhouse. There's no rules. It's just right. However you want to answer the question, past, present, future.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Let's go. We'll go some loose interpretation. I love lifting weights, so I'll say that's keeping me somewhat adjacent to some world of athleticism. And yeah, I played golf and football in high school and enjoyed both sports at the time. But if you hit me now, I'm calling the police. I'm out of the world of contact sports. But now back in the day, those were my sure.
Right on. Yeah, I claim to play golf as well and have played once in the last 3 years. But it's more of the image I keep of myself.
I like that.
Yeah. I also think of myself as a skinnier guy, but it's neither here nor there. All right. So,
same, brother.
What is your favorite sport to watch?
Man, I mean, honestly, anything, but the football was my first love. Like, watching football in person, probably baseball or basketball. I don't know that much beats a summertime baseball game, especially in the stadium. And then soccer's grown on me, man. Soccer's grown on me a ton. I used to make fun of kind of like that sad, stereotypical, American kind of, soccer was invented by European housewives as something to do while their husbands fought war or whatever. And then actually kind of got into it. And what got me into soccer was working here at Vandy, going to the games, going to the Vandy women's soccer games and really I don't know, just being really impressed with the athleticism and all that. And so now, man, if you put on a soccer, a football match, it can kind of be anybody, and I can find a way. So that's quickly moving up for me.
That's awesome. It's always fun to discover a new one. And I think particularly with soccer, there's just so much of it out there that,
yeah, man. I agree with you, man. I think the culture of it and it's kind of this thing that I stumbled upon, in my late 30s and just really diving into in English football and Premier League, the sports culture that they have. It's phenomenal. And it honestly reminds me a lot of, once again, go back to my first love, which was college football and the deep culture, the history, the traditions, the rivalries. It definitely, obviously there are a lot of differences, but there's some things that really rhyme between English football and especially Southern college football now.
I totally feel that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. Well, going back to your earliest love, what is your earliest sports memory?
My dad was a coach when I was little. So my dad coached basketball and football. And so, their games LaGrange High School, the LaGrange High School Grangers. So watching some of those games, they won I guess it would be the national championship. They won the state championship and they were determined to be the best team that won the state championship in the country. I don't know, in 1991. So some players off that team, a guy named Rodney Hudson, a guy named Jared Revere was a quarterback. That was probably some of my earliest, those dudes were to me. And that's pretty deep in the sports lore. The Dallas Cowboys of the early 90s, bonding with my dad watching those games because my dad's a big Dallas Cowboys. So that run of Super Bowls, 92, 93, 95. And then the last big sports memory, of watching on TV that was really formative was probably Florida State football, specifically Charlie Ward, that Heisman run that he went on. I don't know, man. He just that was my first favorite college football player, and so love that. I'll give you another one that was a little bit later, but the 1996 Olympics was pretty formative for just developing a love of sport. Growing up outside of Atlanta, the torch came through our hometown.
Oh, nice.
2,000 people in Hogansville, Georgia, this tiny little town. Yeah, so the Olympic torch, I got to hold it. That was cool. The the race walkers, like the Olympic, like the race, they practiced at LaGrange High School on the track. So we would like after school we'd go watch and see them like walking around the track and stuff. So just like some pretty, some pretty funny, pretty cool memories around that. I met Joe Frazier at the Olympics in 1996. We went to boxing. So they did it in Georgia Tech's basketball arena. Just so happened that Joe Frazier trained like one of the boxers, and he was like sitting in the row behind us. And he like I have a signed 1996 Olympic boxing ticket stub signed by somewhere in my house. Yeah,
that's incredible. So, that's really
some pretty
awesome.
Cool stuff for when I was a kid. Yeah, for sure.
Man, wow, yeah, and yeah. Those '90s Florida State teams too. I think of that as almost like quintessentially '90s football. With the baggy, the hanging jersey, and the big pads. Yeah,
for sure. I love, the game is, I think we all have like those things that are like those kind of core like imprints. Like this is when it was imprinted on me. But yeah, man, I love ranting at the current. I work at Vandy now, so I get to talk to a lot of the number of times I've been like, if Peter Warwick is not on your list of like best players, you don't know what's going on, man. Like you missed a lot of very key guys. But no, it's funny giving the kids a hard time. But I agree, man. That like '90s college football, honestly, the state of Florida, '90s college football that's pretty peak, man. Some of those Miami teams, some of those University of Florida teams, Florida State, all the wide rights, everything, man. That was a good time.
Absolutely. And yeah, Peter Warwick, I grew up a UT fan. And so going into that national championship game, it was like, this is the dude. If we can not going to shut him down, but if we could slow him down, like, then they ended up doing all right. And of course, winning it. But yeah, Peter Warwick is definitely one of the all-time put the fear of God in you as an opposing fan kind of players for sure.
Dude, he was something else, man. He was something else. I got to go to my first Georgia football was in and it was Georgia versus Tennessee. So I got to see like T. Martin and Bill Goldberg came back, and he was like on the jumbotron, like for Georgia. And
hyping them up.
Yeah. It was really cool. That was really cool. That was probably my transition from rooting for Florida State, probably kind of as a kid starting to pull for the a little bit more, or at least like that's where Georgia kind of entered my fandom, because before that I wasn't super kind of cued in on UGA football and the Florida State stuff because of Charlie Ward from the four. But yeah, that's funny.
That is right on. Okay, well, having said all that, how did you end up in Nashville?
I mean, this one's a quick one, man. Like just work, just work. I didn't know anybody when I moved here, but a job opportunity at Vandy opened up, jumped on it. And, that was 17 years ago now. So yeah, I've been here ever since.
That's awesome. I want to ask you a lot more about Vandy here in a little bit, but before I see through the rest of these first, what is your favorite Nashville sports memory or moment?
Yeah, so I couldn't narrow it down to just one, but I'd say Vanderbilt beating us. I mean, that recency bias, sure, but that one's going to rank, pretty much always. And I even feel like you get some respect from Tennessee fans on that one.
Oh,
like,
we loved it. Yeah, it was fantastic.
That's cool too. Yeah. The Kumar Rocker no hitter, that one was insane in the super regionals in 2009. Honestly, Vandy baseball just in general, there's some really big memories. Like just being really invested in like that payoff in 2004, that team 2014 team that won the first national championship for Vandy baseball. Music City Miracle, I think probably has to rate for pretty much everybody. That's a big one. And then the last thing to me is it's just Memorial Gym kind of in that lore, like in general, like seeing some big wins there. Obviously, I wasn't living in Nashville at the time, but I remember watching this game, the game where Tennessee got the number one ranking in the country when they beat Memphis.
It just beat Memphis.
And
Yep.
then, and then came to Nashville and lost to Vandy.
Mm-hmm.
And Vandy beat the number one team in the country. That was pretty great. And talking to like Vandy from that, I feel like almost everybody, like if they were in the gym, they're like, "Oh man, I was there." That's pretty cool.
That is really cool. And I think Memorial too. Like I grew up going to games at Memorial, but you don't realize how special a venue. Like okay, the team's sitting at the ends, but like the elevated court from the sides and just the intimacy of the gym, but also like it can get really packed and really crazy. And I didn't really appreciate that because it was what was normal to me growing up.
Mm.
But yeah, Memorial is such a unique and special place. And I was at the Alabama game last season, and just when that place gets rocking, man, ooh.
Man, it really is. It's I'm not going to go so far as to say it's like there's nothing else like it or something, but it really is special. And I've listened to your pod, and I know you've kind of mentioned like if people want to go to a game, going to like say like a Vandy women's basketball game, it's always there, and it's a lot of fun. But being in that venue is really cool, and it's got its it's been around for a long time. But there's something that's really special about that. My first Vandy sporting event was a basketball game. It was right when I started working here, and Vandy played Tennessee, and me and four of the colleagues, we looked young enough at the time that this would not have been, really weird to look over and see me in the student section. But we watched the game in the student section, and like, the students are standing up like on the front row, they're pounding on the gym floor. And that was once again just like a really formative, like, man, that's really cool. Vanderbilt won the game, which was great. That was one of those teams with like John James, Jeffrey Taylor. They had a good squad. Festus Ezeli.
Oh yeah,
they had
Festus.
some good squads back then, man. Yeah,
absolutely. Some great names, man. I love recalling some guys from Vandy ball. I've probably mentioned it 5 or 6 times on the pod, but like Ronnie McMahon, Kevin England, Billy McCaffrey, like that whole crew, Eddie Fogler's teams. I know that'd be before your time, but like that was the formative stuff for me. And yeah, I still think about going to games, and there's something, the age of the gym, I think is benefit and a credit to it. Actually, you can feel the history. You can experience a game. Like there's obviously been some renovations and some things made nicer, and they got rid of like the urinal trowel in the toilets and whatnot. But like you can still go in and feel what was felt and understand that you were following many years and generations of people. Also, interestingly enough, I don't know if it's still on there, but years ago when I looked at the Memorial Gym wiki page, one of the nicknames for it is the Fenway Park of college basketball, which I always thought was funny.
Low key, like I feel like that. If it's not Memorial, I'd love to take. By all means, send me other suggestions. It kind of feels like it's gone so long in its current state that it's gone through like those waves of time where people would have, maybe demolished it, built something new, do it. That now it's like it's kind of gotten past that, and now there's something that's really neat about the fact that it's still standing in it, basically in its original. There's a guy that works in my office. He's a phenomenal person. He's an author. I don't know. He's a New York Times best-selling author. Like he's the head of our special program, but he wrote the biography of Perry Wallen inside.
Yeah, great book.
And it's Andrew's great, and he's also like the university man. And so, getting him going about things, and he just has so much knowledge about it. Like one of the cool features of the gym is if you ever look at the floor, the gym floor is huge, and it's like wide open, and you can kind of like run around. And so it's because whoever designed this, originally, I guess, lived in Paris and played basketball in this like gymnasium that was the first basketball gym built in Europe. And whoever designed it, the floor stops, and like you maybe have a foot, and then there's a brick wall. And so he said the number of times he like slammed into that wall, it was almost like trauma. And so when this
Yeah.
person who went on to be an architect designs Memorial Gymnasium, it's like you could do like a 40-yard dash after you got out of bounds and you're fine, man.
I love that.
But just little things like that. It's a cool place.
It is really cool. Okay, so moving on from that, now this is specific to you. Who would you put on your Mount Rushmore of Nashville sports?
Now, Russell, I had to do two. I can't. I feel like I can't. Like
Outback
I did a
Steakhouse.
legend. There
It's all
you go.
good.
Yeah, no rules, just right over
That's
here,
right.
man. I did two. I did a legends list, and then I did a contemporary. Now, my Nashville Legends list, I had to put Perry Wallace on it because Perry Wallace, for anyone who doesn't know, Perry Wallace, essentially like the Jackie Robinson. He breaks the color barrier in the SEC. He graduated from, did not have a great relationship with the city of Nashville, even though he's from Nashville. Didn't have a great relationship with the university when he left. And just the redemptive arc of bringing him back into the fold, retiring his jersey, having him come back and have that reconciliation is such a powerful story to me. But, Nashville, a native son that chooses Vanderbilt. He could have gone other places. He could have played basketball up north where there would not have been as much pressure around him, and the fact that he was breaking the color barrier in the SEC. He endures all that abuse, comes back, and when he passed away, he actually had his memorial service at Memorial Gym, which kind of speaks volumes to the repair that was done to him. So, always got to honor him. So Perry Wallace has to be on the list. I'll try not to talk too much, but man, Wilma Rudolph has to be on a legends list of locals. Clyde Lee has to be on a legends list to me of locals. That last spot to me goes to someone who's probably not as well known, especially not as like a Wilma Rudolph, but Norman Turkey Stern. Is that a new name for you?
No, I'm familiar, but I love this answer.
There you go. Yeah. So we got to put Turkey Stearns on. I mean, I want to say he's like top 10 all time. Once they moved in the Negro League stats to Major League Baseball, to be considered, he's top 10 in both slugging percentage, batting percentage. He led the Negro Leagues in runs, like 7 seasons. I mean, he's a baseball Hall of Famer. But, a lot of people say, like, because he had a very soft-spoken personality, like he didn't have, like, a big personality, like Cool Papa Bell, or like some of those, like Josh Gibson, like some of those like really legendary, Satchel Paige, like legendary Negro League stars. That sometimes he was overlooked, but, he's from Nashville. I mean, that's huge. I mean, no city has that many representatives. So there you go. We got Perry Wallace, Turkey Stearns, Wilma Rudolph, and Clyde Lee. Contemporary list. I got 3, and I got an open spot. I got Steve McNair, Pecorine, CJ2K, who that spot was gonna be for Derrick Henry, and it everything that's going on with Chris Johnson right now too.
Mm-hmm.
I just feels like I gotta I'm leaving that's his spot. And then the open space, I feel like it's either got Candace Lee or Hani Mukhtar's name on it, and and I might need a little bit more time to see how things shake out. But definitely Steve McNair solidified, Pecorine solidified. I think Pecorine just made the NHL Hall of Fame.
Yeah. First ballot.
So first ballot Hall of Famer, Pecorine solidified, and Chris Johnson solidified on my contemporary Mount Rushmore.
I appreciate that. And I think Candace Lee or Hani would be fantastic final entries. I mean, what Candace Lee has done at Vanderbilt, and again, let's get into some of that here in a minute. Yeah, and then Hani too. I think they're both still like in the middle of building what will be their final legacies. And, I think both of them will probably be statue worthy in the end, it seems.
I agree, man. I agree. I think we were just at a Nashville SC game. The one a couple months ago, a few weeks ago, where he had a brace against, I think it was when Son was in town with
LAFC,
LAFC.
Hat trick.
Yeah. It just you watch him and it's like, man, this dude's still got it, man. Like there's a lot left in the tank. So, they're on a really serious run right now, and I think they've got potential to do something special, like this squad that they have. If they can kind of battle through some injuries, it could be that maybe Hani Mukhtar solidifies a spot on Ricky Thrash's contemporary Mount Rushmore, which I'm sure is at the top of his list of accomplishments. So,
hey, it would be a feather in his cap, no doubt. And I want to say too, I think a lot of the Eastern Conference, it seems like in MLS, is kind of ceded to Miami and just sort of said, oh well, And I like the Nashville SC said no, like come through us, like win it. Don't we're not going to just give it up. And I really love to be the thorn in their side and be the ones who are pushing them, because nobody should be acquiescing to big money like that. All right, going to push us on a little bit. I am up against a little bit of a time crunch. Do you have any Nashville sports conspiracy theories or hot takes that you want to share? You don't have to. It's completely optional. But if you got them, we'll take them.
I don't. My only real weird kind of sports conspiracy theory is Atlanta, because I grew up, a fan of Atlanta sports. I don't know what Targaryen blood magic happened for Atlanta to get the Olympics in 1996, but I think it cursed the city. The Braves win the World Series in 95. Atlanta gets the Olympics in 96, and then they go on a drought for quite some time. No titles. I have to imagine that whatever happened in the Super Bowl against the Patriots was so devastating that maybe it has weakened the curse a little bit, like that these people have suffered enough,
right? And
it allowed the Braves to eke out a World Series. But other than that, man, it's been pretty tough. So that's my only. I know there's some sort of weird something that's buried somewhere in Atlanta that allowed Atlanta to get the Olympics, and since has put their sports fans through, me being one of them.
Fair enough. Yeah. There have been some absolutely brutal moments for you guys, no doubt. Okay, my one non-sports question is, what is your favorite restaurant in Nashville?
I love to eat. Knockout Wings, rest in peace, would have been my home, and sadly, I'm not over it. I'll go with Sonobana, the west side of town.
Love that answer.
Great sushi spot. Yeah, we love it, man. We love it. That's like my place. I can call and they know my voice, and they will just say hey, Ricky, same order as last time. I'm like, yeah, man, same as last time. So yeah, that's my spot, man. I love it. So definitely check it out.
You got a go-to order there, it sounds like. What's your fave?
Man, so we have the whole family gets something, but I love rainbow roll. So we do the rainbow roll, then we do the Rebecca roll, which is absolutely fun. It's sushi, but then it's like, hey, why don't we deep fry it? So,
God bless them.
And then it's got like shrimp and this like sauce. It's awesome. It's so good.
That sounds really good.
A rainbow and a Rebecca will cure pretty much anything else.
All right. I've not had the Rebecca roll. I'll definitely check that out next time we're over there. All right. So I want to pivot a little bit more specifically to the work you do with Vanderbilt. You are officially listed on the website as the Associate Athletic Director for Strategic Initiatives. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that is?
Yeah, man. So it's all sorts of stuff. Honestly, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. I've been at Vanderbilt for a long time. I worked in admissions for before I joined the athletic department. When I came over initially, it was to kind of bridge between, the enrollment process for just students and student athletes who were starting at Vanderbilt. If this was kind of like, it was still during the pandemic, like it was February of 2020. So we're not fully out of that, but that put a lot of strain and kind of caused us to just kind of top to bottom everything that we're doing as an institution. And at the same time, that's when Candace became the athletic director. And so, she had a vision for, what she wanted the student athlete enrollment. She reached out and was like, I'd love for you to play a role, do it, or help me train someone who we hire. And I'm on the first thing. I've had a chance to work with Candace, really admire her. And so that's what drew me to the athletic department. And the strategic initiatives piece, I work in what's called the Ingram Center. So I work in the academic center, and I find that I'm just like a good connector. So, I do a ton of work across campus, like working with different offices, bridging that gap between the athletic department and the university. So get to kind of be a liaison between the two. And then just recently, I also became the sport administrator for them. So I also kind of have some administrative duty women's bowling, 3-time national champion.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, definitely. I think one of the maybe lesser acknowledged, but like real powerhouse teams over there at Vanderbilt is women's bowling. They've been doing it longer than anyone, it feels like. But
They have, man. They have.
So what are some of your favorite aspects of the job, or some of the things you've been able to do that you're really proud of?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, most of it is very much behind the scenes. It's like, you see a player who's thriving and, I think a lot of pride comes, for me when they're able to do that. Right. And knowing that, hey, that student, we needed to kind of do a little bit of work to make sure that they were able to get admitted. Like one of my favorite players ever at Vanderbilt, one of my favorite student athletes, a women's tennis player named Celia Bell. And Celia Bell is France. And she was, to my knowledge, the first ever, but she's the first ever that I know of international. So she transferred from to Vanderbilt, and everything came obviously in French. And so I'm trying to like prepare all her documents to send them over to admissions or send them to the registrar's office. And it's all in French. So, I'm using Google Trend. I'm trying to like just figure out like how do I even explain what this class is and the syllabus. And, I'm at work. It's like 7:30 at night. I was like, man, this kid better man. Like, what are we doing here? Like there's no one in America who can do this or, whatever. And we finally figured out we work. She comes and is just like the loveliest person you met. And also a phenomenal tennis player. And she kind of anchored our women's program for the 3 or 4 years that she was here. But it's stuff like that, man.
As somebody who grew up in Nashville, and I've talked about going to Vanderbilt games in the early 90s, Vandy football in particular, it was empty. And from the outside looking in, it really feels like Vanderbilt athletics have entered what I'm going to, and using my dad joke prerogative, call a black and golden era of athletics.
Sure. Yeah.
Do people on campus feel that way about sort of what's happening with the athletic department? If so, can you kind of pinpoint when and how that started? I feel like a lot of it came through Candace Lee. And then sort of a third part of that is, do the current students understand that this is kind of a new phenomenon, this level of success and really motivation and sort of goals to be what Vanderbilt is becoming athletically?
Yeah. Do the kids know? I don't know. I mean, yes, they do. Like in that it's cool and it's trendy and this definitely, I agree with you that there seems to be a golden era that they've entered in. I think it's the result of a lot of hard work. I think that it's the result of an AD with a vision of what it used to be like and probably a feeling of real frustration. I think Candace has been at Vanderbilt 25, 26 years, and so she's seen it. She's seen it in pretty much all its form. And I think it's also, there's probably two conversations to have. There is an external conversation, what fans see, what they experience. And I think it's very easy to see that Vanderbilt is clearly invested in the fan experience, engaging fans more. I mean, we were at the Vandy, Kentucky football game last year. I don't know that I've ever had more fun at a game. Like, just the vibes are high. The food is good. The music is great. The stands are full. Vandy's blowing out Kentucky. And it was just one of those, like, it felt like what you would think going to a football game in one of the coolest cities in America would be like. You know what I mean? And it hasn't, it's, for a long time, I felt like I was like, like in my mind, like, okay, like, Vandy's doing the best they can or what. when I was just a season ticket holder and worked in the admissions office. So that to me, that's one side of it. The other side of it is the internal, and the internal conversation around what is Vanderbilt doing, to me, is a reflection. This is what it looks like when Vanderbilt has investment and alignment from top down, from their administration, to say, yeah, we're competing. We want to compete. I remember when the chancellor started, Chancellor Dearmeyer, and he came and met with everybody in the athletic department. And I was new to the island. And, he said that we're going to be competitive, and there's a new standard that's being set. And I remember, like, I raised my hand. I was like, what does that look like? Like, what does success look like to you? And, he said, it's about being competitive. It's about whatever that means for that sport. But we're playing for the postseason. We're playing for, we're pushing to deep runs and seeing how far we can take it. And so that honestly, Russell, has not been my perception of the Vanderbilt University administration's relationship with the athletic department before Daniel Dearmeyer. That it was, if we win some games, great, and that's cool, but we have all these other things we're focused on too. And now I think the shift has been, wait a minute, this is something that makes us really different, and really, it causes you to stand out in a marketplace where, I don't know if, I think colleges spent the last 30 years trying to market themselves as all the same. We all use the same stock photos of, a group of kids laying on the quad, like laughing outside or whatever. And now all of a sudden we're in this marketplace where all these students are saying, y'all all kind of seem the same to me. And how are you different? And so this is a way that Vanderbilt can with their full chest, full-throatedly say, we are very different from Harvard or, insert whatever school they're competing in. Yale's not carrying the goalpost to the river and throwing it in the river after they beat Bama, And so I think that all these things have aligned in a way that's been really, really fortunate for Vanderbilt. And the students see it and have responded well to it. But I don't know that they grasp like just the gravitas of this. I think to students it looks like it's just kind of, it's like a flip, the switch flipped overnight. But it's taken a long time, and I think it's taken some visionary leadership to get us to the place that we're in. But it also feels like everyone really likes being in this place, and so there's a real hope that we can continue to build this momentum up. That's a long-winded answer, but maybe hopefully.
No, that's a great answer, and that's sort of what I was interested in finding out. I'm going to have to wrap pretty soon, but I do want to ask, so Door Jam is coming up end of this month, and that's sort of the celebration to start the new year. And as we go into new academic and sort of athletic year, what are you really excited about for Vanderbilt or for the sports and athletics department at Vanderbilt heading into this year?
Yeah, evergreen answer, football. Love it. I'm the Michael Scott meme. I'm ready to get hurt again. It's been long enough. I'm ready to put myself back out there. Football stresses me out. I get notifications from my watch about like, are you okay? Like, what are you doing right now? Like, please sit down. Oh, my heart rate like goes through the roof. So, I mean, football is evergreen for me, but honestly, I think this is Vanderbilt started this new campaign, anchored for her. And it's Vanderbilt's, I guess, like external declaration that we are fully invested in women's sports and wanting to see those sports thrive. And I mean, this is the year of a lot of like women's sports teams at Vanderbilt have some real opportunities. The soccer team, their preseason, I think they're in the top 5 preseason rankings. Florida State has only lost in the NCAA tournament to one team the last 3 seasons. It's Vanderbilt. All the other times they won a national championship. So, I think Vanderbilt soccer is poised. They're picked to win the SEC this year. We'll see. But they're in a really good position. They have a chance to really do something special. I think the women's basketball team has a chance to do something really special. I think we are, we'll keep the golden age going. We're in the golden age of Michaela Blake's right now. And man, she's special. And I think if they can kind of pull a run together and, learn from what they, kind of some lumps they took in the tournament and everything like that, and just kind of apply that, they have a chance to really do something special in a conference that is stacked and really hard to be successful in. What they've already done is really impressive, but they have a couple of new pieces that they got out of the transfer portal or new first years in Nashville. Vanderbilt basketball, I love, So let me stop before I just list every team that we have. I'm gonna let that sit. But football, I'm really excited about. I'm really excited to see what Jared Curtis can do. And then, Vanderbilt soccer, man. Like I was watching practice today. Like they've got an edge to them this year that I'm excited. I mean, they have season tickets. I guess this is a plug. Anybody who wants, I think season tickets are like $30-$40. Come out, have the kids run around, and they play a really fun brand of soccer. Their coach is from Sheffield, England. He's a big Sheffield United fan, and I don't know, like he plays a really cool kind of possession heavy, really aggressive form of soccer. So it's a fun team to watch. So there you go.
That's awesome. And I'll make sure to put a link in the description where people can click through to get tickets for that. Because I think that's
awesome.
I've said it before. Women's basketball, I think, is one of the best value for money in Nashville going on. It sounds like the soccer is very similar. Like that's a small outlay to get season tickets, and for such a high quality team, that's really exciting. I hate to, chat and run, but I am going to have to drop soon. I'd love to have you back on sometime soon. We can talk more if you're willing.
Dude, I love it, man. I love it. Whatever you want, man. We'll talk. We'll go down rabbit holes. We just name dudes. I love just naming dudes, man.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
Right up my alley. Ricky, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. And we'll talk again soon.
Dude, awesome, man. Hey, thanks, Russell.
Yeah. All right, that's our show for this week. My thanks again to Ricky Thrash from Vanderbilt Athletics. I had a great time talking with Ricky and do hope he comes back on again in the future. As always, you can reach us on social media at NSH Sports Report on Twitter and Blue Sky. There is also a link in the description below. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to come on the show or if you have something you'd like us to talk about, just reach on out. We'd love to know what it is. If you're listening on YouTube, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, do whatever else people do on YouTube. We'd love your support. And any other podcast platform. If you have the chance, please give us a review. Let us know what you think of the show. All right. That about does it. My thanks again, as always, to you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.